embed on your website if you want to.
What's up, everybody? Just give, I guess, the stragglers about 2 or 3 minutes to come on here, then we'll get started.
What's going on, Mike? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you, Joseph?
Doing well, sir. Doing well.
Awesome. About another minute or so.
Jesus Christ, it's got me listed as Hayden Purdue. Nice.
Yes, and we can all hear you.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. If anyone else jumps in, then they're just going to jump in late. They can watch the recording. But we've got a lot of stuff to definitely cover. I want to make sure, hopefully, we get to all of it. I believe the plan is for this to be 2 weeks. Whether all of it will be Google or not is still being debated. Ideally, I want to show you everything that I help clients with when we're working on creating omnipresence in a marketplace, which is important. And that covers Google as well as utilizing Facebook. So, but we should be able to get through a good amount of this today. So let me share my screen here and we will get started. Can someone just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Okay, perfect. All right, so we have the Google PPC training today. So quick outline, just some basic housekeeping stuff. We're going to discuss the difference between Facebook and Google. We're going to talk about the high level strategy to running Google pay-per-click campaigns. Some things you need to understand, and then we're actually going to go and we're going to build out a campaign with you guys that you can determine that if you want to run, or you can just pause it until you want to come back to it later and run, but you'll have all that. And then the goal sometime between this class and the next class is I have some resources to make all this stuff much easier for you guys that I'll be providing as well, that you guys will get to reference along with the videos. All right. So housekeeping, what you're going to need today is you need your KV Core login. You will need your website address. I sent over a video, 2 videos to Crystal. Hopefully you were able to watch those. If not, we will run through those very quickly. But it was to set up a Google Ads account and to set up a Google Analytics account. So if you weren't able to do that ahead of time, that's okay. We'll still run through it, but it'll be much quicker than what the actual videos I sent over show you. So remember, a lot of this stuff is going to be a new language, and that's okay. Just you need repetition. You need to hear it. You need to speak it. You need to do it, just like everything we've talked about in all of these classes that we've had so far. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me or put your hand up. I think there's a little like hand thing at the bottom of the Zoom window. But yeah, don't feel bad. Ask any question. As I always say, the only dumb question is the question that doesn't get asked because we let our pride get in the way. And then you guys will have access to these videos. So definitely review them and use them as need be. And then, like everything, it's always about relaxing and taking imperfect action. Just get started. We probably won't get to it today. It'll be for the next class. But you know, I'm not just going to show you how to set up a campaign and then leave you guys to figure out what to do next. We'll actually talk about how you go in there, you optimize your campaign to get your lead costs down, the things you want to look for, et cetera, et cetera. And then, as always, you have one-on-ones available. So if we don't cover something today or in the next class, or you just need individual help, you can schedule a one-on-one, and I'm happy to help you out with that. Was there a question?
Yeah, Mike, I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the analytics, I went and watched the video, did everything, put the website in there, and somehow I already had one in there, but underneath the second one, it didn't have an all website in there. Would I be able to go in and change it later? Because we're in the process of building out a website right now. So the
Well,
one
everybody
plugged in was the KV Core one.
Yeah, you would be able to, you'll have two options. You can either just set up a new analytics tag, which isn't a big deal for the new website, or you can go in there and switch that URL out. What I would probably do though is I just set up a new one, just so none of that data gets crossed over.
Okay. And just do it the same way as just everything else,
Yep.
start the merger and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it doesn't affect anything if I have like 3 or 5 or 20 of them,
Nope.
right?
Okay. Yeah. When I show my account, I mean, you'll see I don't even know. There's lots of them in our main account for different clients that we handle.
Okay.
Great question though. All right. Okay. So the difference, right? There is a difference between other platforms. So Facebook is typically the main one that agents want to advertise on. Because one, it's just easier. I mean, it really is. There's not as many options as when you have a Google. And it's just been really all the rage the last few years. But what you need to understand is Facebook marketing is what is called interruption marketing. So put yourself in the shoes of a home buyer or home seller. Oh, get a little feedback here. Let's see. I think everybody. All right, good. Yeah, if you have a question, just unmute yourself and interrupt me. But otherwise, just keep yourself muted for the recording, please. Okay, so a home buyer and a seller, when they start to think they want to sell their home, or when they start to think that they might want to buy a home, they don't immediately go, "Oh man, I need to go on Facebook and see what homes are for sale." No, they're going on Facebook because they're like all of us. They're bored. They're trying to break up their day. They may want to check in, and they're scrolling through the feed, and then they see an image or ad, right, that interrupts them, and then starts this little scratch in the back of their brain where they say, "Okay, now I'm sorry, this little itch. I gotta scratch this itch in the back of my brain," and it starts them down the path and gets them thinking about buying or selling and taking the next step. They're primarily going to be at the very beginning of their process, unless they've already been on a bunch of home search sites and they're being retargeted on Facebook by retargeting ads. They're going to be at the very beginning. You are planting that seed of them buying or selling a home. Whereas on Google, it's what's called intention-based marketing, meaning that someone is further along in the process. They know they want to buy a home. They know they want to sell a home. They may not have determined their time frame yet, but they already have that itch going, and they're actively going on Google and starting that search. And this distinction is important because from a lead perspective, that means that Google leads carry a much higher intent, which is good in terms of your conversion. I guess a con of that, though, is because it's intent-based searching, that traffic that you're paying for can be more expensive than it can be on Facebook because you are paying for that intention. So just some things to distinguish there between both. All right, so from a high level, you need to know that, and this is according to Realtor or NAR, excuse me, 97% of home buyers and sellers start their search online. 76% of home buyers and sellers use the first agent they speak to. And this is extremely important for what we're doing today because Google puts you first. So let's run through just a quick example here. So if, I'm Mike, the home buyer, and I'm on Google, and I go and I type in homes for sale in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I click on this, right? It's going to give me a bunch of different options. And typically, you're going to have your ads first. So you're going to have 4 ad listings, which we'll come back to in a second. And then you're going to have your organic listings, which in every market, they're dominated by either Realtor or by Zillow. And what is happening is people, depending on where they're at and how they've been conditioned, most are, they may go to Zillow, right? And then they start to search. And then what Zillow does is they capture that information, like I'm going to show you today, and they turn around and they sell it back to agents at 20x, 30x, sometimes 40x the price that it costs them to get. But what you need to know, just from a high level here, on some of these ads, right, is ideally you want to be in the first or second place because perception is everything online. And as you can see, there's multiple links to click on here. And then if I go down below, there's 10 pages. So there's thousands and thousands of links to information that someone can get access to. In today's world of we want it now, no one is going through that. So actually, of all internet searches, 60% of people click on the very first link. Then 30% of the remaining people will click on the second link. And then you have your 10% who may click on the third link or go down to the organic listings. And this is what makes Google pay-per-click so powerful. It's because you can get yourself in this first or second space here. And then you need to be, when you're creating these ads, and I'm going to give you the exact ads, like there's going to be no guesswork, ads that already are proven, already work, that we'll just have to optimize and tweak depending on where you guys want to run those. But a couple of things, right? So we have a link here. You only pay when someone clicks on your link. And depending on the keyword, so these were the keywords that I typed in on my search. There can be an unlimited number of combinations of keywords somebody could type in. That brings this up, but depending on what the competition is in the area that you're trying to advertise will determine how much this keyword, so to speak, cost per click, maybe 50 cents, could be, you know, north of $5 or $6, depending on where it's at. Like if you were like in LA, California, and you were trying to do like seller leads, I mean, and you're competing with some of the bigger names, things can get pretty expensive. So, you know, we'll have your headline here, and then you'll have some description, and then you have what are called ad extensions down here, and you can kind of create your ad however you want. But just a couple things to keep in mind. And it's funny when you scroll through here, you know, you want to give people what they're looking for. So there needs to be congruency. You can't type in homes for sale in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You know, these ads are actually not too bad. But then have something else show up here. Or if, for example, we click through on this person's ad, right, it's congruent. As soon as I come here, I see that there's 75 Grand Rapids, Michigan homes listed. If I came here and it said 75 Holland, Michigan homes listed, that's not being congruent. And there's a good chance that I'm going to just leave because I'm not getting what I intended or what I wanted out of my search. So just something to understand from a high level in how this stuff works. Let me see here a second. All right, good. All right, some things to understand or some terms that you want to familiarize yourself with. And I will get you guys a what we call a tracking sheet. If you want to track these numbers, it's typically a good idea because if you know your numbers, then you know, okay, this is my marketing budget this month. This is what I'm spending. This is what I should get in return. And then what that allows you to do is once you know your numbers is like a faucet with water. It allows you to either turn that up or turn that down accordingly. So CPC is cost per click, how much you're paying for someone to click on your ad or how much it costs every time someone clicks on your ad. Then you have CPL, cost per lead, how much it costs you to generate a lead. Then you have probably what the most important number is out of all of this, which is COA or cost of acquisition. This is how much it costs you in terms of marketing to secure a deal. And then you have what's called ROAS or ROAS, which is return on ad spend. And that's the number that everyone wants to see because, you know, it's your return on your investment, how much money you spent and what that money that you spend in marketing returned to you in GCI. In 20x with Google is actually a good goal, and it's not unrealistic if you really commit yourself to this and you commit yourself to becoming good at lead conversion. Any questions regarding that? All right, perfect. Okay. So what we're actually going to do then now is we're going to build out a campaign and we're going to take you through everything. So the first thing that you want to do is I would suggest that you open up a separate tab and have a Word document. I may have put this in the email to Crystal. I may have not. So forgive me, but you're going to want a central document that has all of the key things in there that we're going to discuss today. So just to make it easy for yourself when you're setting campaigns up. So your website link, you want to have your Google Analytics number, as well as some of the code, which we'll go over here in a second, but you want to have a separate Google document set up to help you out with that. So I was just go to docs.google.com and pull up a separate document here. Okay. All right. Now, the first place that you want to go if you didn't already is you want to go to ads.google.com. Okay, it's going to take you to this page, right? And a quick tip, ideally you want to use the same Google email across all of this just to make it as easy as possible for you. That's what I suggest. If you didn't do that, that's still okay. But it just makes things much easier in terms of keeping track of things. So you want to go ahead, if you're not signed in, sign in or start now, depending on what it looks like for you, right? And then you want to click on new Google Ads account. Okay, you want to come down here. They're kind of sneaky. You don't want to be in like the simplified version. We want to be down here. So you want to click switch to expert mode. And then this is going to depend on your account or not. Some accounts aren't going to have this little create an account without a campaign down below. If you have that option, just click on that and you'll be good. If you don't, you'll just have to create like I call it, a demo campaign just to get started. So I'll just run through that quick. So I would just click create a campaign without a goals guidance. I would just click search. None of this really matters. We'll deconstruct this later. Website visits, and then put in a website. Doesn't matter. And then hit continue. Okay. You can skip through all this all the way down to the bottom. May make you put in a budget. If you do, just put in $1. And we'll come back to all this and go through this with a fine-tooth comb. But this is for the people that don't have an account set up. All right, skip through all this down to the bottom, save and continue. Same thing with your ad, save and continue. Okay, then you're gonna have to put in your billing information, right? And you will see a temporary $50 authorization made to your card. They will refund that back to you. But Google is extremely tight on their security up front. So you don't have all the disaster with Google like you do with Facebook. If you've heard about people getting their accounts banned and their accounts shut down and you can never talk to anybody at Facebook, Google is the exact opposite. You can talk to people on the phone. They'll walk you through. They're very helpful in that regard. But up front, they take identity theft and identity confirmation extremely serious. So that's why they're going to ping your card with the $50 there, and then they'll give it back to you. So you want to go ahead and make sure you have that set up. So that's our first step there, is getting that set up. And then what you want to do is you should have a number up here in the right hand corner of 9 digits. So on your sheet, you'd want to type something like Google Ads account number, right? And then you want to type out what that number is for yourself. Because if you ever run into any issues with your account, this is the number that they're going to refer to you. So if you call them or you're chatting with them, you're going to need this number. So it's good to just have it in one place where you can just find it very easily. And we're going to need it for some of the other stuff as well. Okay. So any questions on any of that? All right, perfect. If you're too shy to interrupt me, just put your comments in the chat or your question, and I'll try to remember to check that after each section. Okay. The next thing we need to do. Oh, doggone it. is we need to, come on, Zoom. All right, we need to set up your Google Analytics account. Okay, so if you just Google Analytics, it looks like it's analytics.google.com. So you can come here. Yep, I'm already signed in. I have a new account. What I'm going to say to you is, because this could be very time consuming, is I would go ahead and watch the video that I sent over. It's very short, 3 minutes. It'll show you how to basically log in and get this account set up. Basic. No problem, Joe. See you later, brother. But once this is set up, and you want to walk through that, because there's two different options that you have when you're setting up a Google Analytics account. And I cover that in the video and why it's important to have both of those set up. So let's just walk through this a minute, because this is very important. And you want to be at least paying attention to this stuff, because you can gain a lot of data that will help you in your business from here. So I'm in a client's account. I'll just kind of walk you through some of this stuff now. I'll just click my drop down, but in my video instructions to you guys, I told you that there's what's called GA4, which is the new interface for Google Analytics, but it's horrible. They've got a lot of work to do on it. It's not as good as the old interface, which is just Google Analytics Basic, I guess is what I would call it. So if you're trying to find your account, you may not see this view. You just need to come up here to the left, click on the down arrow, and you should see two different accounts listed. One that has the name of the account and then -GA4. It's not the one you want to be in. You want to be in the one that has the little number under it that says UA and then whatever your number is. And you want to come over here and click on all website data. So before you do that, or maybe while you do that, I should say, we want to come down here and we want to grab that number. So you want to scroll all the way down the bottom of the screen and click on this button that says admin, and it's going to take you to this screen. Okay, and then what I would do then is I would go back to my sheet. Okay, and then I would put Google Analytics account number, and then I would get my number, whatever it is. I think if you click under, property settings, you can just drag across and copy it. Come back to your sheet, oops, and put that in. All right, so now we have to do a couple things here to make sure this is set up, and then I'll kind of walk you through some of the stuff. Once you're done with that, you want to click this little back arrow over here to pull all of this up. Okay, the first thing that we want to do is we want to come over here to goals. And we want to set up what is called a goal, meaning that we want Google Analytics to record when someone does something specific. And this is how we're going to record the number of leads that we're generating. And then we're actually going to share this information with our Google Ads account. But we want to set this up now because it can take a while for that information to populate in our Google Ads account. But I want to do it at the beginning in the hopes of by the time we get around to building the campaign, it'll be in there. If for some reason it's not, because sometimes it can be delayed up to 24 hours, I will shoot a separate video on how you go ahead and you get that information into your account. So there will be no missing steps. You should not be left in the dark on what to do. I will make sure that you're taken care of. So the first thing you want to do is go to new goal. Okay, they got a bunch of templates. You don't need to use any of those. You want to come down to custom and you want to hit continue. Okay, and you want to give this a name. We just use the naming convention new lead. Okay, and then the way that KV Core is set up, we like to do for clients that have KV Core is we want to come down here and we want to use pages. Okay, I know some of you, well, I'm just going to explain this in case if there are some of you that aren't using a KV Core website, what you want to do is you want to use destination. In destination, if I click continue, we'll ask for what's called a path. A path is you have your URL. So if you have, let's just say mikeking.com, and then it would be backslash. It could say home. It could say about. It could say contact. Whatever comes after that slash. Typically, when you're generating leads on a website, you take them to a page. And then when they sign up for that lead, they are taken to a thank you page. Now, depending on who your website provider is that you're using is going to determine how this needs to be set up. So if you're using anything like Real Geeks or Chime or some of the other ones, this won't apply to you. And what we'll need to do is just get a one-on-one with me, and I will help you make sure that that's set up. But for our training purposes today, we are getting this set up for everyone who's using a KV Core website. So you want to come back to pages and you want to hit continue. And then you want to come here to pages/screen session. And then you want to mark that as 1. Another option, and you'll just have to measure this depending on the type of lead quality you're getting. But if you're not, if you feel like your lead quality could be improved, you can come back here and you could change this to 2 or even 3. And what that means is that the system that we're setting up is not going to count somebody as a lead unless they viewed 2 or 3 pages, whatever the number is that you have set in here on your website. So someone may just view 1 page and then take off. Maybe they're not that serious, but someone may be more serious when they've looked at 2 or 3 pages. I wouldn't turn it up any higher than 3. So then once you're done there, you can hit save. And now your goal is created. All right, check the chat. All right, any questions regarding that? If you do, just unmute yourself and ask that. Awesome. And if I'm talking too fast, just please let me know. Okay, our next step here is we need to go ahead and connect the Google account that you just set up to this account so they can talk to each other. So you click that little back arrow. Sorry if I went too fast there. So I was in goals and then I just clicked this arrow back over here. So now we want to come to Google Ads linking and you want to click on that. Okay, yours is probably blank. So regardless, you'll want to click on new link group. Okay. And should have did this in a dummy account. I'm gonna pick on somebody here. Ashley, on your screen, do you see your Google Ads account number?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what you want to do then is you want to click in that box. And then you want to come down here and click continue. Okay.
Okay.
It's asking you for a link group title. So basically, you could just call it, you know, my Google Ads account. All right. And then you want to hit, you want to click this button, all website data, and turn that on. And then you
Okay.
want to click link accounts. So this is a client's account. So I'm just going to hit cancel.
Okay.
All right. And then your account should be linked and should show up in here.
Let me see. Let me hit done. Yes, it says Google Ads account and then one linked account.
Perfect. Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding that? Awesome. All right. So there's plenty of videos on YouTube for Google Analytics, but I'll just go through some of the basics here for you guys in terms of data and what you want to kind of pay attention to. So if you come back over to the left and you click on home screen, right, this is just your basic dashboard. And it will show you, you know, like, for example, this client, right, they've had 72 people come to their website in the last 7 days. You can change the duration down here to whatever you want it to be. What's really good for you guys to pay attention to on your websites is your bounce rate. And that's important if it's important in general, but it's even more important if you're going to actually run Google pay-per-click ads, because Google wants to give the user the best experience possible. So if they click on your ad and your ad goes to a website that takes 3 minutes to load, that's not good. They don't want that to happen. So page load speed is very important. If you ever want to check your website to see, you know, how quickly it loads, and anywhere from, you know, ideally you want to be 1 to 5 seconds. You can just go to Google page speed. Yeah, I think it is. Yep. And then it's this first one right here, page speed insights. And then you just put in your URL and hit analyze, and it'll tell you how fast your page loads. And if it's taking more than, you know, 3 seconds, that means you just have, you know, you might have to talk to your web developer. Maybe some of the, typically it's usually the pictures are too big in size and those need to get reduced. But it's definitely something to pay attention to. And then also what your bounce rate tells you is the higher it is, it means the quicker people are leaving your site. So they're not finding the content helpful or what they're looking for. So if you do any type of blogging on your site or anything like that, it's good to know that. And then it tells you what the average person, how long they're on your website for, if you ever care about that. So a couple good things to look at is audience. So if you click overview, this is important. Once again, it gives you another view of how many users total in the time period, how many of them were new users, and then once again, how many sessions or how many pages they viewed, how many pages were viewed in total, and then once again, the average duration. But what's cool is you can actually drill down on this. So it'll show you languages as reported here. But if we come over here and we click on city, okay, now I'm starting to get some data that I can do something with. And I can see, you know, where, so this client, for example, they're in Virginia. So this is important for them to know because they can see like Roanoke is a Virginia town, Cave Springs is, I don't know if that's Washington or Washington, D.C. But, you know, here we have Raleigh. So 3 people in the last 7 days came to their site from Raleigh, North Carolina. So maybe it's beneficial for them to do some marketing in Raleigh, North Carolina for people who are considering relocating, you know, like as well as Charlottesville, San Francisco, Chicago, Austin. You know, these are all the areas that people are coming from and checking out their website, which tells you that those people are considering moving to the area or buying a property in the area. And then another good one to check out is acquisition. So if you just hit overview, okay, this will tell you how people are finding you online, right? So organic search, right? That means they're going in and they're typing your name or your company's name or your team name online and coming to you that way. Direct just means that Google doesn't know how to label that traffic. So they just bundle it together as direct. And then referral is if they come from another website to your site. And then social is obviously through any social media that you're doing. But why this is important to pay attention to is because tons of clients make this mistake. They're doing content, let's say on like Facebook, or they're making YouTube videos, and they're under the assumption that someone will watch a YouTube video and then go directly to their site, which when I'm auditing accounts, 9 times out of 10, it's not that way. What someone will do is they'll consume a piece of your content and then they immediately go to Google and they search you to see what comes up. And we can see that because we have organic search. And I know this specifically for this client because they actually have a decent following on YouTube. So what we discovered was people were coming or were going and watching their videos on YouTube and then going to Google and then searching their names or their business name. And then from there, going to their website, which is important for you to know. All right, so we've got our Google Analytics account set up. We've connected our account in Google Analytics. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to come over to KV Core. All right, within KV Core, what you want to do is you want to come down to Web and IDX. And you want to go into Website Manager. And then I'm using Alex as a test here. So you want to come in here and go under Edit Settings. All right, and then you got to scroll down. Keep going. Where is that? There should be a little space. Okay, Google Analytics ID. So you want to take that Analytics ID from your sheet, right? Copy it. Paste it in there and then hit save. So that way it starts tracking all the visitors to your website. Now we're going to want to scroll back up. Once you've done that, all right, to the custom header section. And you're going to want to leave this tab open. Then we're going to come into our ads account. And I'm just going to go into these guys' account. All right, so in your ads account, you should be in the upper left-hand corner, you should see an overview tab. It should automatically be on there, but if you don't see a screen like this, it's not going to have any data. But to get to it, you just click on this overview account. So this is the Google Ads interface. What we need to do first is we need to potentially connect some accounts here. So you want to go under tools and we want to come to linked accounts under setup. And it's going to take you to a screen like this. And what you want to do is you just want to double check your Google Analytics account. So you want to go to manage and link. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that this Google optimization is turned on. All right. And then it should have a list of any analytics property down here. And it should say that yours is linked. If it doesn't say that it's linked, you should be able to click on it and link to it from inside here. Is everyone's account linked?
No, even when I go to tools and settings, mine looks totally different than what yours shows. I can't even get to, mine doesn't even look like that.
Okay, perfect. Are you comfortable sharing your screen?
Yeah.
All right, let me turn that on a second. All right, go ahead and share your screen.
There it is. Hold on one second. Want to
No
make sure
problem.
I'm sharing the right screen. I have 3 screens. Hold on one second. Okay. There we go. All right. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's pulling up. Okay, yeah. So, all right. So if your screen looks like this, you see in the upper right-hand corner where it says the date, and then to the left, it says switch view.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Okay.
All right, now try to go to tools and actions up there. Okay, so they just changed the, you have a newer interface. So go under maybe setup. See how it's on billing? Yeah, click setup. All right, there you go. And then click link, go scroll down and click linked accounts.
Get off this.
All right, awesome. So it looks like yours is linked. It says that it is.
Yeah, and I think it's linked to like before we first started to the account that I had originally created and not the current one.
Okay, so this is your GA4, which is which is fine that it's linked, but we want to check the other one. So X out of that. Oh, now you got to go back to linked accounts.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. It was under setup. All right, and then where it says Google Analytics UA, yeah, that one right there. All right, so first you want to turn that button on right there under Google optimization or optimize sharing. Yep, you want that to be on. Okay, and then that Reeves Realty Group, is that the number of the analytics account you created?
I'm assuming yes, I have 2 of them.
Okay.
Because this is what I was talking about. When I went over here, I have 2. There's 2 of them.
Yeah, that you should have 2, right? So thank you for bringing this back up. So just once again, to reiterate this point, the second one, the GA4, is for the new interface because Google is eventually going to do away with the old interface. but
Okay.
it's nowhere near as good in terms of tracking and stuff as the old one. So they're still keeping it, the old one around.
Okay.
Yeah. So the UA and then your, I don't know how many numbers that is, like 10 numbers. That's the one that we want to be using. And that was the one that's the one right there. So you're good.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, here we go.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else having an issue, or is everyone else good? If you're not, just unmute yourself. Okay. Next, what you want to do, well, you don't have to do it right now, is if you're going to be making YouTube a part of your marketing strategy, which I highly suggest. Little side note, I was in, I guess you could call it a training, and these two agents, they decided they were going to make YouTube a part of their marketing strategy. They didn't get anything from it for 6 months of 2021, and they tracked all their stuff. It was really cool. I actually have a copy of their presentation, and it shows all the stats and stuff. Their 7th through their 12th month. Anyone want to take a guess at how much in GCI they were able to generate from doing organic YouTube videos? Over $1 million. Guys, like if you don't have a squirrel mentality and you're committed to doing that, and just like we've talked about, being the mayor of your area, because that's all these guys did. There is so much potential out there because no one is utilizing that, because most people are too scared to get in front of the camera and just do what it takes to become good at showing your city and your neighborhoods around to people who are either thinking about moving there from your area or from out of state. I mean, it's a long-term play, but it pays off. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. But anyways, if you want, you can connect your YouTube channel to this, and that'll be important in the future, because if you make YouTube a part of your marketing strategy, you can run ads to the people who have watched your videos and come to your channel. So you can do that by linking that right here. All right, so that's outside of the scope of today's training, but now we're going to jump in to building out the campaign here. Okay, so you should see once again this type of layout on your screen. If you don't, you need to come up here and you need to click switch view, because you're probably in the basic summary view. And if you're like me and you're a visual person and you want to see what I'm seeing, you want to be in this view right here. Okay, so we're going to set up a buyer's campaign. And the first thing we need to do is we're going to click on new campaign on that big blue button, and then select new campaign. Should take you to this screen right here. Okay, perfect. So if you've had any experience with Facebook, just real quick, this is kind of like the same type of things. It's just your objective, what you want Google to do for you. So the main one that we use, sales or leads, it really doesn't make a difference. So just click leads. Okay. I'm sorry, I skipped a step here. I want to check one thing with you guys. So if you click back up here on tools and settings, and then under measurement, okay, if you open that tab up, you should see conversions. You want to click on conversions. And you should see a screen like this, but it's not going to have anything in it. Okay. And then you want to click on this blue button that says new conversion action. And it's going to take you to a screen like this. And we need to do two things. First, we need to make like, we need to check this one. So we want to go import data. And then we want to click on Google Analytics. And then we want to hit continue. All right, you're either going to see one of two things. Your screen is either going to look like mine and it's going to have that new lead goal that we created over in Google Analytics showing up. But sometimes it can take up to 24 hours. Okay. So if it's not there, don't panic. That's fine. Like I said, I will make a video explaining what to do when yours shows up. But I just wanted you to check that right now. So what we need to do, or the second part of this that we can do right now, is if we click cancel, okay, we have to make a dummy conversion because we need to get a piece of this code to put on the KV Core's website. So we're going to click new conversion action. We're going to click website. Okay, we're going to see this screen here. We're never going to use this, but we need to get access to a piece of code. So I'm just going to go through this. So select for the goal category. You want to select sign up. Okay, you don't need to rename it because you could just delete it later when we're done. Okay, value. Don't use a value for this conversion action. All right, count is going to be is going to be 1, excuse me. So make sure your count is 1. And then all this other stuff, just you can ignore. Hit create and continue. And then you're going to see a screen like this with 3 different options. You want to click on the install the tag yourself. Okay, now this is giving us 2 pieces of code. All right, this first piece is called the global site tag. It's a piece of code that needs to go in the header of KV Core. So what we want to do is you want to just scroll your mouse over there, select that, Control C or Command C if you're using an Apple. We want to come back to our KV Core site. And in the custom header section, we want to go ahead and paste that in and hit save. And then what I would also do is I would come over to your sheet and then I would just do Google global site code. And then I would just paste it there in case you ever need it for any other reason. You don't have to try to fumble your way through the Google Ads account to find it. Okay. Like I said, I will make another video about the Google Analytics goal and how to get that code. But basically, when you have access to it, it's going to give you some code like this. And that code we're going to have to put here into KV Core so that it reads it under conversion code section. But I'll make a video walking you through that and send that over so you guys have that. And then I'll remind everybody on the next call as well. So now that you have that code, you can just come up here to the upper left and you can X out of that. And then you can hit the back button up here and it should take you back to your overview screen. And then we want to go back into our campaign. So if you hit new campaign, we'll just start fresh. So just hit new campaign again. Okay. We're going to select leads. All right, we're going to scroll down, hit continue. And then this is all the options that you have for where, what type of campaign you want. So basically where you want Google to show your ads. And there's actually some really cool stuff you can do if you ever want to really broaden your market. I mean, you can have Google show your ads inside of people's Gmail, emails. It's actually some pretty cool / creepy stuff depending on what your views are. But for our sake, we want to do search. And then we want to select website visits. And then you want to go ahead and you want to put in your website address. All right, so here. Steal Alex's. All right. Okay. And then we want to go ahead and name our campaign. So I would just call this buyer's search. And while you're doing that, real quick, so I thought I had it written down somewhere. I should know this off the top of my head. Just checking my notes here. I know the number is around 30% of all buyers will have a property to sell. So I will teach you guys specifically a seller's campaign in our next training, but you will generate a lot of sellers, so to speak, from this campaign as well, because people don't want to sell their homes typically until they know where they're going to move first, or they have an idea of where they want to move. So make sure you hit continue. All right, it's going to ask you for a budget. So let me talk to you a bit about budget first. And if you're not seeing this screen for some reason, please let me know. But a budget, I would suggest that you spend a little bit more than you're comfortable with. And the reason why is because if you're committed to this, this will be a good investment for you, and you will earn that money back. Another reason is the more you spend, the quicker you get to become ROI positive and can reinvest those funds and grow your business quicker. So I'll kind of give you some averages here. So we found that on average, if you spend $300 a month, which I would say is the minimum that you should spend, if it's anything less than that, then Google pay-per-click isn't for you right now. You've got other things you need to focus on if you can't invest $300 a month into your business. But a $300 a month investment will typically take 3 to 6 months on average for you to find one deal out of that. If you spend $500 a month, it's going to take on average about 90 days for you to find a deal. So as you move north of 500, the quicker you're going to be able to find a deal and start to recuperate your money. And the caveat to that is it also depends on your skill level with building relationships with leads and converting them. And then, you know, you're never going to be able to stop people from putting in fake information. So you're going to get fake emails, right? As well as possibly phone numbers and names, which reminds me of one thing. And maybe this is just a note for Crystal, if you know, because I couldn't figure it out. But is there a way in KV Core so that when they're browsing your website and they're looking at listings, and then that box pops up and it asks them for their email in order to continue? I found where it's currently set at where you can change the settings to that, whether they look at one page or 2 listings or whatever. I couldn't find anywhere that you could change the information that it requests? Like is email the only thing you can request from somebody? Or is there a way for you to request their name and their phone number as well? So maybe just something for us to discuss and try to figure out on the back end of things. But back to the budget. Another thing about having a decent sized budget is the number of leads that you're going to get a day. And the more leads that you have to work, the more encouraged that you're going to feel. If you're only spending $300 a month and you're getting 1 to 2 leads a day, and one of those is somebody putting in fake information, it can become discouraging with trying to work those leads. But if you're spending somewhere like $500 or $1,000 a month, and you're getting 6, 10, 12 leads a day, you care far less about the people that are putting in fake information. So just some thoughts regarding that as far as the budget goes. And then real quick, I want to show you guys something because some people don't understand the power of lead generation and what it can actually do to help you scale up your business. So this is a calculator that we go over with a lot of our clients just to try to show them. So over here on the left, are some various fields you can fill in. Since you're going to be running your own lead gen, we'd leave out a management fee since we're not the ones handling it. But on $500 worth of ad spend, and if you figure you can get your average lead cost down to $10, which is very doable, if not even lower, depending on the area you're in, and you have a 1% conversion rate, which is extremely low when it comes to conversions. We've seen teams or people that have had as high of a conversion rate on leads of 5 to 7%. And then you have what's called a database conversion rate here of 1%. So you're looking at a total conversion rate of 2%. This kind of gives you a breakdown of what you can expect, but I don't know, what the numbers look like in you guys' area, and I will include this in the resources that I send you guys. But if you assume a medium transaction of 200,000 and a commission rate of 2.5%, and your split with your broker is 80-20, so yours is 80, theirs is 20, you can kind of follow this along here, where month 1 you're going to get 50 leads. So you might not convert any, right? Because there's a ramping up time. Month 2, you're going to have another 50 leads. So you're going to have 100 in your database. Now month 3, you've got 150. Still no deals closed though. Now month 4, you get your first deal. You've got 200 leads total, and you've been able to convert 1 person out of those 200 leads. Because of the way the math works, you can just ignore the 0.5% here for a deal. It all adds up in the end, but I don't know a better way, or I haven't figured out a better way how to show this. So we got 1 deal here in the 4th month. Now we've got in the 5th month, let's just call it another deal. The 6th month, you've got 2 deals. Down here, it's showing the commission and the splits per month. I hate this Zoom bar. It's always in the way. All right, scroll over here. So you can see how each month you're adding 50 new leads to your database and you're working them, right? And the number of total deals that you're converting from that database, because people are moving further along their buyer's journey, is starting to convert. So when you add all this up, even the half deals represented here, at the end of 12 months, you've invested $6,000 and you've closed a total of 31 transactions. This says 31.5, but 31, right? So that's generated you, if you're on an 80-20 split, using a $200,000 medium price point, which I know in Houston, the price point's probably much higher, $122,000 in GCI for you. So that is 1,933% return on your investment. And as I've said before, we've had clients that have had their conversions in the 5, 6, and 7% range. So I'll kind of give you an idea, but if we change this to just 2%, right, we can see that this number has now gone up to 140. So that's why leads can be a very viable way of scaling your business extremely fast versus referrals. Nothing is wrong with referrals, but referrals are not predictable. So they're not as easy to scale. Whereas leads, when you focus on improving your sales skill and you know you're getting 50 new leads a month per se, you can start to plan out, okay, for every 100 deals, you know, I close, or for every 100 leads, I close 1 deal, right? So you can either work on getting your conversion up, or you can start to buy more leads. If you take this 500 and you increase it to 1,000, okay, now you've gone from 31 deals to 72 deals, and from like 130,000 in GCI to 280. So I'll send this calculator over so you guys can play with it and look at it. But I just wanted to give you guys an example of that. So to help you kind of figure out your budget. So daily budget, put in there $30, put in whatever number you want. We can pause this so that your money doesn't spend. And then bidding. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can bid on the traffic within Google. And there's some advanced ways that are beyond the scope of this training. But all you need to know is that you want this to just have conversions. But as you can see, there's some other ways here. You don't need to mess with any of this other stuff. You want to click on more settings. And then under ad rotation, you want to make sure that this says to optimize and prefer best performing ads. You do not want it to have rotate ads indefinitely. So it should automatically default to this, but sometimes Google is tricky, so to speak. So you just want to double check and make sure that that has optimized, prefer best performing ads. Click next. Okay. Now the networks. This is another what we call traffic trap, or a way for Google to just get extra money if you're not paying attention. You want to make sure that you click display network off. We don't want the ads showing on the display network. All right, and then we have locations, which is going to be extremely important here. All right, so we've got a couple of options here, right? So they give you, you know, by different countries, and you can click on this location options. Okay, we've got a couple different ways to target. So presence or interest, which says people regularly in, or who have shown interest in your targeted location. This is the one you want for buyers ads. For sellers ads, we use presence, people in or regularly in your targeted location. And we'll go over this once again when setting up sellers campaign, but we want to have presence or interest marked off. And then what we want to do is you want to click on enter another location. And we want to go here under advanced search. Now, I recommend that for each campaign you're going to run, that you have it target one area, meaning like if I'll just use Houston, if Houston is going to be your area, right, you're going to have one ad for the Houston area. If you're going to go into like certain neighborhoods, then you would want to have an ad campaign for each of those neighborhoods that you're going to target. So Google has way better targeting than Facebook. On Google, the only thing you can't do for housing is you can't search by zip code. But the way you get around that is you can just simply type in, you know, the area. So I'm sure there's tons of zip codes in Houston. But you can just type out the cities and you can target those directly. You can do a radius targeting. So let's say you wanted to do Katy, Texas, and you wanted a 20-mile radius. You can go all the way down to a 1 mile. Another option is, I'll just do Houston a second. Okay, is you can use a pin mode. So if I exit this out, just to move that from the map. So say I want to do pin mode, right? I can come in here and I can drop pins in certain areas to form a 1 mile targeting. So if you know the city, right, much better than I do, but maybe, you know, you want to pin there, and then maybe, I don't know, West University Place is a great place to live. So you want to pin there. And then you want to pin there. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that strategy for within the city, but where a good pin strategy can work good is if you're trying to do something, you know, along the shore, right? So now you can come here and pin some areas around the shore, and then when you drop a pin, just hit target and it'll save that there. And that's kind of a way to get in there and farm an area. So just for this example, we're gonna do, or I'm gonna select Houston. All right, and then what you want to do is you want to exclude some areas. So we want to go add locations in bulk. And then we want to type in India. No, why isn't that coming up? No, that's weird. Countries. I don't know why that's not coming up. I'll just give you the countries though, because there are a lot of bots. China, Indonesia, Philippines. I think I spelled that wrong. Brazil. Oh, there you go. I had to hit search. Okay. So you'll hit search. They'll all come in here, and then you want to click exclude all, because there's a lot of bot traffic from there that'll just waste your money, and you want to avoid that. So once that's done, hit save. Then you'll see it up again here. You'll see your target location. You'll see all the exclusions. Okay. And then now we want to come down to languages. Languages are the languages your customers speak. So English will default, but if you're bilingual, right, and you speak Spanish, you could put Spanish in here as well. Another good strategy using languages is if I don't know if Houston has a bunch of people relocating from a certain country, like Switzerland or France, for example, and you speak that language, you could actually put in France and you could run your ads in France targeting people who are interested in buying homes in Houston. All right, audiences is next. So if you didn't see that, right under here, under languages, is a small skinny bar that says audience for audience segments. Okay, it's going to pull up a search bar. Now, Google, because they have their codes, their tracking codes on like 30 million sites plus on the internet, they are very good at predicting what people are, what are called in the market for, what they're shopping for, what they're looking at. So what we want to do for our audiences is we want to type for sale. Come on. All right, and we want to come through here and we want to select houses for sale, new houses for sale, residential properties for sale, apartments for sale, new apartments for sale, pre-owned houses for sale, and pre-owned apartments for sale. Let me just check my list here. And we got one more, and homeowners. Yep. Okay. All right. No, we don't need to do nothing with dynamic search. And then under more settings, nothing to do under there either. So now we can hit next. All right, this is going to take us into our keywords and ads. Google will automatically pull a bunch of keywords in here. They're horrible. Don't use any of them. Like I said, I'm gonna already give you what works. And this is based on 7 figures in ad spend. So we know exactly what works here. Okay, so what you're gonna do, well, let me just type these in here a second, and I'll go through them a second. And you want to be copying these in here as well, but I'm going to tell you how to edit them. Oops. Okay. So this is what we're going to go ahead and use. So
Mike?
yeah.
Real quick, if you're going to use those keywords, are you able to copy and paste those into the chat box so I can copy on the Google sheet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm putting together a resource for you guys that'll have, like I said, all this type of stuff in there. But let me do that here a second. All right, I just put them in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so the way that we want to edit these are obviously, well, should be obvious, but city, right? So I would type in Houston. Okay. Or whatever city you're targeting, or if it's a neighborhood, that neighborhood. But what I would suggest, if you have no experience running Google Ads, is I would start wide. And then once you get more experience, then you can start narrowing down into, neighborhoods and stuff. You want to have an area that at least has a decent size population. So, probably 100,000 or more. All right. So for MLS, you're going to do Houston, and then, whoops, the state, Texas. All right. And Houston, Texas, Houston, Texas, and Houston, Texas. Okay. All right. We've got about 5 minutes here. So what I'll do is we've obviously got just a little bit more to go. So quick poll here. You can put your answer in the chat. I mean, I don't have to be anywhere, so I can keep doing this. So in the chat, would you rather us finish up in 5 minutes and get through what we can get through? Or would you prefer that we finish this section all together, and then whoever's not here can or has to leave can come back and watch the video, or we can just finish this section and pick the rest up next week? Put your preference in the chat, please. Okay. All right. Well, then, yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll just finish this up. And then for those that have to leave, you guys can leave. You'll have access to the video, obviously. And then next week, I'll make sure that I cover this. I'll review this stuff a little bit as well. All right. So on the keywords, some things you need to know. There underneath here, you can see that there's 3 different what they call keyword types. There's broad match, there's phrase match, and there's exact match. Well, I want you guys to know the difference because as you get better, it's going to make it, you need to know. Okay, so exact match is when you put, I don't know the official term for these bars, I guess, around the keyword phrase. And so what that means is that your ad will only show when someone types in that exact phrase in Google. Unless you're going to spend $5,000 plus a day. Let me repeat that. Unless you're going to spend $5,000 plus a day and compete with the Zillows and the realtor.coms and some of these big national companies, you're never going to use exact match. But I wanted you to be aware of what it does, because there are some people out there teaching that, and it's just not, it's not right. So you know what it does, but you'll probably never use it. Okay, next you have what's called phrase match. And that's when you have quotations around the search term. And what that means is that if anybody types in a combination of those words into Google, your ad will show up. So it doesn't need to be exact, but it needs to be close. You most likely will end up using these, but not in the beginning as you start your campaign off. And we'll actually talk about this about next week when we talk about optimization. The way that they're set up right now is what's called broad match. That means that if anybody types in any of these keywords or part of these keywords, your ad could, not will, could show up. And I just want to give you an example. If you came in here and you just did real estate, right, as a keyword, your ad could show up for anybody who typed real estate news, real estate prices, real estate, I don't know, some other dumb word that has nothing to do with your search. So that's part of the reason why we use the city and the state plus for sale, because that expresses people's intent. And then we want to give them what they're actually searching for, which we'll get into here right now. Okay, so now we're going to set up our ad. So it's going to carry over your URL from your website. All right. And then it gives you an opportunity to do what's called a display path, or put some terms after the URL, which is really good. And this is going to be what the actual person who's searching is going to see. So what we want to do for this first one is we want to type in search. And then for the second one, we want to list our city or the area. Okay. All right. And what I will do is I will drop these in the chat as well. But I already have all these set to go for you guys. And as I said, I know we're at 2:30, so I appreciate you being here with me. If you have to go, not a problem. Crystal will get this recording and distribute it to you guys properly, and I will add it to the main sheet as well. And then we will be back here, I believe it's next week for part 2 of this. Okay. So what we are building here while I'm typing this out is what's called a responsive ad. And the reason they call it responsive is, as you can see, we are giving a whole bunch of different headlines for it to use to mix and match when showing ads to people who are going to search. All right, so let me drop these in the chat here. Oh, actually, you know, what am I doing? I got these right down here. That makes it easier. All right, there all those are. Okay, so as we can see, we want to come in here and we want to edit these accordingly. All right. Well, ideally, what we want to do is we want to get this ad strength up to either average or good. So what we need to do is some of these, I was a bad boy and didn't put in the city when I typed these in. So we want to add Houston in front of that. Houston in front of that. Houston in front of it. Oh, not gonna get that one. Houston there. Okay. All right. And we will make some different adjustments in a second. The next thing you'll notice is that over here, it shows you a preview of what some of these things look like, and we'll update this active listings here in a second. But you see, if we leave these to their own, to Google's control, some of these are going to be odd, right? They're not going to be very appealing. So actually what we want to do is we want to pin them. So if you click over on the right, you're going to see a little pin. And if you put them in the order that I gave them to you, you're just going to want to go down the row. And so the first one you want to pin is 1. The second one you want to pin is 2. The third is 3. And then you're going to repeat the same process for the next 3. And we have all these so that 2s and 3s are very complementary to number 1. Okay. All right. And what I got to do is, I skipped one step here. Okay, this is very important. All right, but this is a good actual place to actually have this. All right, so I talked a little bit earlier about how important search intent is. If someone is doing a Houston property search, they do not want to go to a page that is going to show them Raleigh, North Carolina properties. They're going to leave because they're not getting what they want. So what you actually want to do is you want to come to your KV Core website, right? I'm using Alex's, and you want to come in here. Come on. There you go. And you want to type in your city. Okay. Leave everything else alone. Do a search. And you want to make 2 adjustments. One, you don't want to do a map. You want to do either a grid or a listing. Okay. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to search by days on website. Or if you're not using a KV Core website, I guess it would be new listings or just listed. All right, once you have this, okay, so now this is congruent with our ad. So if they're searching for condos or single family, or if we go back to our ad a second, you know, Houston homes for sale, active listings, they're getting exactly what they searched for. And there's no, they know that they can see Houston up here. They can see Houston on the different properties. There's congruency, which is extremely important. So what we want to do is, this is actually the URL that you want to copy and put into your ad as the final URL. Like, again, they're not going to see that whole search thing. They're going to see what we set up as the display path. But that's how we get the URL that we want. All right. And then what we want to do is we want to change this number. So in my search, there was 10,000. So I'm going to change that to 10,000. Okay. And now we're going to come down here and we've got some descriptions. Let me grab those. Okay. Drop those in the chat. And then for the people that, where did the chat go? Chat. For the people who aren't on the video and are watching this later, you will have a document that has this stuff listed in there. So do not fret. Okay. So, all right. Grab each of these. Okay. Oh, that copied the whole thing. All right, there's number 1. Grab 2. Okay, you can have up to 4 descriptions, so we're going to want to use all 4. All right, and then since our ad strength is still poor, what I would do is I would come and make some adjustments. So I would put your area down here. So you have search all area listings. Then I would put Houston right here. So save your area search. And then I would do get live area Houston real estate stats. And then I do live Houston MLS feed. Okay, I think I know what part of the problem is. Okay, you guys, well, I think for the most part, you guys are all in and around Texas. So under our keywords, where we have the state, we actually won't have to include the state unless you're in an area where there would be another obvious city in another state. Like, so I'm not aware of another Houston somewhere else. So let me just remove these a second. Let's see. Oops. Sometimes, there we go. Okay. So sometimes this is finicky. And like I said, so you either want to be at average and then the next step up here is good. We don't want to be poor. So now, as you can see, my headlines all match my keywords. If for some reason it's still not getting average in there, you just want to try to come in here and some of these ones that don't have an area listed, add that area in there in the most obvious place. So fast and free area real estate search, 10,000 active area listings. And then, award-winning area property search. The last thing I want to show you here when it comes to the ads is a pretty cool trick. So if you do the brackets, you can make what's called a keyword insertion. So when you make a bracket and then you click keyword insertion, it's going to bring up this this little box. You want to make sure that its title case is checked off. And then let me just refer to my sheet here. All right, you want to have the default text be city, or whoops. So your area, so Houston homes for sale. And then you want to go ahead and do apply. Okay, so what this is this will take whatever keyword that they type in and it will insert it into a headline. So if, let's just say they did like Houston properties for sale near me. That's what they would see as the headline up here. If for some reason they type in something crazy and Google still decides to show your ad and they don't recognize the keyword or the keyword doesn't make sense, it will default to Houston homes for sale. But that's a good little keyword. And then you don't have to pin that one. You can just leave that one like that. Oh, and then the next thing you want to do is you want to scroll all the way back up and you want to just change the name of your ad group. And I would change that to the area that you're targeting. Okay. So if you remember, we had our campaign, we named that something buyers, buyer search, I think. And then now we have our ad group. We're naming that the area that we're in. And then now we've got our ad done. So we want to click next. We're going to save extensions for the next class. So we'll come back to this. So you can just hit next. It's going to check for errors. All right. And I'm good. So then what I want to do is I want to publish my campaign, whether you're going to move forward or not. And I'll show you how to pause it. Okay. So now you're back in this view. You want to come up to overview. Okay. And then you want to click over here on the left. You should see search campaigns. And then if you click on campaign right here, it'll show you all the ones you may have in your account. You should just have one if you've never done this before, and you should see a green button right here. So if you just hit the down arrow, you just hit pause. And then Google will go ahead and pause that so that your money does not get spent until you're ready to go live. All right, so not too bad. Not too bad for today. That was obviously a lot. So what I want to do is just for 5 minutes, open it up for any questions, concerns, anything that's on your mind. And I would actually like a little bit of feedback on this. Did you think what did you think? Did you think that this was pretty easy steps to follow? Did you think that this was too technical? Whatever feedback that you may have or would like to share.
No, I thought it was great.
Awesome.
It was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure.
So I just want to make sure, because with going in and adding the websites and stuff like that,
Yep.
I would just start merger through the analytics side and then do this whole process with the new one, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you paused your that campaign that we just created and you go back in later and you start to make changes or whatever, Google is not going to run this ad until you take this off a pause and you turn it back on to enable. So don't worry about, like, if you want to come in here and play around and get familiar with what you're looking at, which I definitely recommend. You won't, or I shouldn't say you won't, you shouldn't screw anything up.
Okay. So knowing me, I would probably find some way to screw it up. Okay. Yeah, no, because I didn't finish mine. Mine just says in progress because I'm working on the KV Core website and redoing that to try to make it not so generic looking. So I want to finish that before I send this off. So.
Okay. Yeah, and you bring up a good point. And I'll just throw this out there. When it comes to websites, or at least having a website that you're going to run lead generation to, I wouldn't focus so much on it looking great and having as many bells and whistles as possible. For lead gen, the main thing that matters is intent. You want people to get what they're looking for, because Google will reward you for that. They will reward you with lower costing traffic, which means that your money will go much farther. So yeah, having being congruent and having the person's intent in mind, and then also your page speed. Page speed is a big thing. If your page takes longer, like I said, longer than ideally, you want it to be between 1 and 3 seconds. If you're starting to get north of 3 or 5 seconds, you need to fix that.
Okay. And then, question,
Mm-hmm.
if with running the ads, I know you had the URL going to the list of properties.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
To click on, just say if I'm scrolling through Google and I'm looking and I click on this link and it sends me to all of these list of properties, is there a landing page, or how does Google, I guess, capture that client's contact information to where you can pick up the phone and call them if there's not a landing page that they're typing
Yeah,
their
no, that's great. So the so let me think about how I answer that. So the first thing is the way that I believe it I don't know if you guys have individual access, you might, but the way that Randy has it set up is that when you click on a property, this comes down and you have to enter in an email address to go further. I could not find anything within KV Core's backend that would allow you to add a name and a phone number to this, right? So
Okay.
that you could get their number and call them or add them to the campaign, the drip campaigns that we've built out, which is what I would highly suggest, because this all works together as one big complete system. So I'm going to get with Crystal and figure out if that's a possibility. I got to imagine that it is, because that would be, yeah, I don't think KV Core would get as high a praise as it was if it was only capturing people's emails and not their phone numbers. I just couldn't figure out how to do that on my end. The second part of your question is, you guys are the only people that I work with so far that use KV Core. I have worked with other Keller Williams branded agents, but they were not using KV Core. The best sites that we found for lead generation, just strictly lead generation, is Real Geeks, is number one by far for lead generation. And then 2 was Chime, but they're a bit more expensive. But yeah, Real Geeks hands down. That's just the way they've built their platform and their page load speeds and everything. And Google really seems to favor those pages. So
Okay. Yeah, mine pulls up like it does here. Okay. Yeah, I might call KV Core myself too and see if there's like, because I would like to just have a landing page as well for their name, phone number, and all that. And then does KV Core automatically put them on a campaign? Like I can say, hey, any of these leads that come in through this ad automatically get set up on this drip campaign.
yes, you should be able to do that. I didn't go as far as to look into that for you guys. But yeah, I am aware that KV Core does have that functionality. And you can actually build landing pages within KV Core. Now,
Okay.
whether you can collect more information, that is the question to be. But to go back to your original question, because we put the code in here, if somebody enters their email, right, and then we set it up, depending on if you have it view 1-page view or 2 or 3, right, as soon as they hit that number, Google will record that as a lead inside of their system. And by then you should already have the information that you collected right here within inside of KV Core.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great question.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like put everything together. There is just so much. And so I'm just trying to connect all the pieces without trying to overdo it.
Yeah, that's understandable. And like I said, if you get stuck, Randy makes the one-on-ones available. So feel free to just pull me in and I'll help you out however I can. And then, yeah, if you're able to find out the answer of adding more contact information before, I guess, me and Crystal are, you just, yeah, please let me know. Because I'd like to know. myself.
Yeah. And then real quick, you
Yeah.
said you shared this. Do you share it in the Roreco marketing coaching with Mike? Is it in that folder or
Yep.
do you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. It'll be the link will be on the doc, the Word doc in there. And then once I get the let's just call them help documents, I guess, together, those will all be in that folder as well.
Okay. Yeah, I see it here now. Okay. All the recordings here. Okay. Cool.
Awesome. Anyone else have any other questions? Give you 30 seconds here. Check the chat. Oh, where'd that go? All right. Nothing's in the chat. Awesome. Well, once again, appreciate you guys being here for this training, and we will pick it up next week with part 2. In the meantime, if you have any questions that come up, hit me up in the Roreco chat or just email me directly and I'll help you out however I can. If not, enjoy the rest of your week.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Have a great day.